Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are looking at the TL-118 Starhammer Short Range Attack Ship. This was a heavily this was a heavy assault starfighter manufactured by Subpro Corporation. It was 35 meters long. It carried one pilot, one gunner, and 1 week's worth of consumables. The craft could achieve about 300 kilometers per hour and had a Class 3 hyperdrive. The craft's armament included two heavy laser cannons, two light laser cannons, two fire-linked twin laser cannons, one concussion missile launcher, and an air-to-surface bomb bay. It was also shielded. Subpro hoped to sell the craft to the Galactic Republic, but the Republic transformed into the Galactic Empire. The Empire rejected the seemingly impressive craft due to its unfortunate faults. A single blow in combat to the ship's ion engines caused them to send the ship out of control at maximum speed. The craft was also lacking in maneuverability. Subpro's single production run was sold to local militias, private security forces, and even to some criminals. That's all we really have here from the fandom. Just kind of going from there. This is another one of those ships that's just kind of thrown out there from, say, like West End Games or so on and so forth. Um, I'm not exactly certain where it's kind of coming. Yeah, it is. First appearance is West End Games Meltdown Instant Adventures. So there we are. With some of these side chips or whatever, we don't get a lot of extra fluff on them like we do with the TIE fighters and so on and so forth. But with that being said, let's sneak on over and get into our D6 stats and go from there. Okay, so looking at the Starhammer here, of course, this is from Subpro Corporation. It's the one TL-118 Starhammer short range attack ship. Now, it is a general alignment during the Old Republic, so that does mean, like was kind of said in the write up, it has a wide variety of who could possibly get it or even get it used. Um, with the possibility of it could be handed out to almost anyone because of someone's trying to offload it or something like that. So we have that availability here. All right, it is 35 meters long. Their standard crew is going to be a starship piloting of 3D plus one and a starship gunnery of 4D plus two. So if you're just running it as just a general person that's piloting it, there we have our stats. We do have a crew of one and a gunners of one. Consumables is roughly about 1 week. This is coming in at a cost of about 72,000 credits, brand new. Or actually, I take that back, as used. It does have a times three hyperdrive. Slow in a lot of regards, but as a ship based starfighter for um, maneuvers and everything else, we don't get a lot of ships with, starfighters with the hyperdrive like the ties and the like. Now, the Rebel Alliance is a big exception because they do a lot of hit and run actions. So theirs are going to be a little bit more modified, and that's how George Lucas had wanted it. He wanted the Rebel Alliance to have faster ships, a lot of gearheads involved in the whole thing, trying to make sure that it's all done in that regard. They're winning because of the speed instead of everything just being punched out and kept up to a regular standard. We do have a nav computer on board, which goes hand in hand with having a hyperdrive. We do have a maneuverability of 1D, so not a very good maneuverability for a fighter. For a space transport, sure. And our speed here being at a space speed of 4. Now, keep in mind, the Y wing is roughly about like a 7 or an 8, somewhere in that neighborhood. So we are going slower than a Y wing, which is kind of considered getting aged out, and it is, as a fighter bomber, a little heavier on the bomber than the fighter side. You know, it's a slower. starfighter. Atmospheric wise, it can go about 300 kilometers an hour. We do have a nice hull of 5D, so this can take a little bit of a pounding here. So we do have that. We also have shield strength of 2D. Now, as stated before, we do have two heavy laser cannons. Let's see, fire control is 2D, damage is 7D for these. We also have two light laser cannons with a fire control of 3D and a damage of 4D. We have two laser cannons. Now, these are also fire linked on a turret. So, this is our gunner. Let's see, fire control is 1D, damage is 5D, and last but not least, oh, not even not even to that point yet. All right, we also have a concussion missile launcher. Now, this I think is our front launcher here. Um, has a fire control of 1D, damage of 8, and we also have air to surface bombs. Front fire control is 1D, damage is 9D. Now, looking at that, uh, I don't know how you want to really work this out. I'm going to say that if you're looking at this and we look at our ship here, and let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. Um, when we look at the ship, we have this nice missile rack here. I think that's our concussion missile launcher right there. Now, typically, our concussion missile launchers, they could be more surface based in that regard as well. Not our torpedo, which typically you're figuring for like another starship or primarily going from a starfighter to, say, a capital scale ship. And of course, we have a couple other what could be our bombs underneath here. So it doesn't tell us how many of each we have, though. So just kind of keep that all in mind. Um, if you want to limit how many you have, there is some of that there. Um, my mind is kind of going off here and saying there is a good chance that this could very well be close to a space version of, say, like an A-10 Warthog. Uh, it's tough. It can take the abuse. Not the most maneuverable bird in the fleet. Really meant for ground assault actions. So this would be a wonderful fighter in that regard to say, hey, we're doing a raid on planet XYZ, and we're going to send a couple of these down to help cover the troops there to do air assault missions or whatever, um, trying to take out their tanks or walkers or what have you. In that regard, it sounds like it could probably do a pretty good job. Is it going to take a pounding along the way? I would say probably. Um, just keeping everything in line with how it's all built. So another interesting ship. Not our normal common ships that we run into, but another interesting ship nonetheless. That being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's wonderful having you here. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next video.